Hello, class. Today we're going to discuss archetypes. You see archetypes in movies, books, any kind of story, anywhere. So let's take a look at archetypes. First, what is it? An archetype is just a pattern or a model or an image or person that recurs consistently enough in life and literature to be considered universal. So we will take a look at some common archetypes that you are familiar with. The first is the innocent. The innocent tends to be spontaneous, trusting, a bit dependent. They need people, and optimistic. So here you're going to see that I have some stills from movies that represent the archetypical innocent person or the innocent. The next is the regular guy or the regular gal. We see these in movies all the time. We love these characters, right? They're unpretentious. They're one of us. They're the regular people. They don't expect a whole lot from life, but what they do is teach the reader or the watcher, viewer of the movie or TV show about empathy, realism, and street smarts. Yes, it is important to have street smarts. We tend to really like the regular guy or the regular gal because, of course, they are the most relatable. The next is the warrior hero. That comes from the movie I Am Legend. Will Smith tends to always play the warrior or the hero in a lot of his movies. The warrior hero saves the day. They're tough. They're courageous. They set and achieve goals. They overcome obstacles. They persist in difficult times, and they see enemies he must conquer. So chances are if there's a Will Smith hero, he is some kind of warrior or some kind of hero. Now there's all different kinds of heroes. So we have archetypes and then we have archetypes within the archetype of a hero. So here are the 8 hero archetypes, and this refers more to the male, although they can be women as well. They will work for both. So we have generally the chief. The chief. That is the quintessential alpha hero, born to lead, tough, decisive, goal-oriented, may be overbearing and inflexible. That is their weakness, and usually in any movie or any story or book, that is their weakness and something that they have to overcome to succeed. They have to overcome their overbearing and inflexible or stubborn behavior in order to grow and achieve some kind of success. The next is the bad boy, and I call him a hero because, as you can see, there's bad boy heroes, and that would be, Johnny Depp. Okay, he's kind of a hero because he does save the day in a lot of ways, but he's the bad boy. So the bad boy hero is the rebel from the wrong side of the tracks. He's bitter and volatile. He's a crushed idealist. He's charismatic and street savvy. Hates authority. If you watch any westerns, the old spaghetti westerns, they were called spaghetti westerns because they were actually not filmed in California or America. They were actually filmed in Italy, where it was cheaper to film and has the same kind of western terrain. So any of those old westerns would be the bad boy. He's the perfect outlaw, and James Dean is just an archetypical character, just the bad boy in any movie. The next is the best friend hero. He's the beta hero. Like you have the alpha hero, right, which was the first one we discussed. Here you have the beta hero. He is kind, responsible, decent, a Mr. Nice Guy, non-confrontational. He doesn't want to hurt your feelings. He's Tom Hanks in almost anything. He's Bill Pullman in While You Were Sleeping. He's Jimmy Stewart in It's a Wonderful Life. Even villains don't really want to harm the best friend hero. He's just too nice. The next hero is the Charmer. The Charmer. He's fun, irresistible, smooth operator. He's not too responsible or dependable. He doesn't commit to women. It could be Ferris Bueller. It could be Cary Grant. There's lots of Charmers. We have Lucifer, I guess, would be the new Charmer, right? The lost soul. Oh, the women always go for the lost soul. They're tortured, secretive, brooding, unforgiving. They're vulnerable. They're a loner. They're a wanderer or an outcast. It would be Hamlet. It would be Heathcliff in Wuthering Heights. It would be Nicolas Cage in Moonstruck. It would be Heath Ledger in almost anything. It would be the Joker, would be the lost soul. The Professor, that would be the hero that is logical, introverted, and inflexible. But they're also honest and faithful. The next is the Swashbuckler hero. Oh, we do love the Swashbuckler. It's all action, action, action. They're very physical, they're very daring, they ain't afraid of nothing. They're fearless, they're daredevils, and they're explorers. The next is the warrior. They can be sometimes a reluctant rescuer or a knight in shining armor. Bruce Willis in almost anything. They're noble, tenacious, and tenacious just means you don't give up, so they don't give up, and relentless. They stick up for the underdog. Underdog means like the regular people, the people that nobody cares about, the poor, the underprivileged. That would be the underdog. They are most of your superheroes in the comics, either comics, I can't remember. There's different kind of comic brands. So those are most of your superheroes. They would be the warrior hero. Now we have the female heroes. And yes, I know this is very gender specific, but that's kind of what it is. So we'll kind of go with more gender-ish heroes. That isn't to say there can't be any crossover, but this has been traditionally more female archetypical characters. And that would be the boss. That is the take charge female. That's the equivalent of the chief in the male gender hero scenario. The picture over here we have is The Devil Wears Prada, and then we have also Elizabeth from the movie Elizabeth. She accepts nothing but respect. People fear her, and reaching her goal in life is absolutely paramount. Paramount means of great importance. She will stop at nothing to achieve her goals. She's very much like the chief in the male version of the hero. Another type of heroine, or we call them heroes now, is the survivor. The survivor. I've got pictures here of Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind. Halle Berry often portrays a heroine, the survivor. Here, I think she's in Something Fish, movie Something Fish. I can't remember what it's called. She's mysterious and manipulative. She's cynical, but her cynicism guides her everyday actions. And cynicism just means she's just seen it all, been there, done that, has your number. She's not fooled by anything or anyone. That is to be a cynic. Also, you expect the worst. Okay. But the survivor, of course, has a tough sense of survival. They get knocked down, they keep getting right back on up. The next kind of heroine is the Spunky Kid. We love these in all of the Netflix shows and all of the sitcoms. It is the favorite of many kinds of writers. YA, that's young adult novels, love the Spunky Kid. Why? We tend to relate to the Spunky Kid. Even if you're not a spunky kid yourself, you can relate more than to say perhaps a chief or a survivor. So they have moxie, and moxie just is a fancy word for they have spirit and sass, and they'll do what it takes. Okay, that's the person with the swag in their step. Okay, they really don't care what anybody thinks about them too much. They're just who they are and they do what they need to do. They're not looking to be at the top. They're not looking to be the most popular, but they do carve out their own little niche, their own little part of the world that is uniquely them. They are the popular people in their little group, even if their group is only 3 people. They are also team players. They're always ready to lend a hand, and they tend actually to have lots of friends because, hey, everybody likes them because of their personality and their moxie, their spunk, and their sass. The next is the free spirit. So they are playful and fun-loving. They're original. They act on whims, like I did what I did because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And they tend to follow their heart. So they follow their hearts and their emotions. They do not follow facts. So they're mostly emotion driven. They're the people who say, I just follow my heart. That's the free spirit. They can be on the ditzy side, and ditzy just means they not super intellectual. They tend to forget things. They're not really good at analyzing things or figuring out, hey, if we do this thing, what's going to happen afterwards? What are the bad effects? So they tend to be a little bit ditzy. I'm sure you know lots of people like this. But they are well intentioned. They can also leave a trail of victims of their good deeds. And that's usually why they're in a lot of comedies, because they try to do things the right way. They try to follow their heart, and they are well intentioned, but a lot of times it just backfires a lot. And victim here isn't really like a death victim, like they killed somebody. It's just like it didn't work. And maybe you know people like this, right? They try to do good and all they end up doing is messing up things. The next kind of heroine is the waif. The waif. And so that is really the original damsel in distress. Now, at the end, she always kind of does the right thing, right? It is the star of most early Disney movies. Now, Disney has changed that a lot in response to current political ideology, which is women can be strong too, which of course, yes. But early Disney movies up through perhaps Aladdin really portray the woman as help me, save me. Oh, I need a big strong man. Okay, and then we had like Mulan, and then I think we have like a Tangled. I think it's Tangled. So more of the newer Disney movies, the one where she's in Hawaii, that shows much better strength of women. And so actually it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So the waif tends to be a thing of the past. The stronger female tends to be what we like to read and watch about now. So the waif always requires rescue. And really, this is why women have a lot of problems with that, because you really shouldn't have a man rescue you. Ladies, you don't need a man to rescue you. Pick yourself up, get done what you need to do, move along. He can come for the ride if he wants, but you don't need him. They also have a childlike innocence, The next heroine is the librarian. She's the librarian. She's prim and proper on the outside, but woo-hoo-hoo. Take down her hair and she is passionate on the inside. She leads with her brain and her intellect, not her body. So it's her brain that's sexy, not her body. She thinks she also has all the answers, so she tends to be a little opinionated, and she can be a bit stubborn. She would be the equivalent of the professor in the male gender hero. So I have 2 pictures here. One is of, I can't remember her name in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow. That was Willow, and she was the smart one, the one in the library, the one who had all the facts and figures. And then the other is still from a movie called My Super Ex-Girlfriend, and that is actually Uma Thurman looking mighty ugly If you actually type in Uma Thurman, she is a smoking hot blonde. And this is her in her disguise as a librarian, but then she turns into a super hot blonde superhero. The next heroine is the Crusader, and we love the Crusader. We see this in Xena Warrior Princess. Once again, Halle Berry tends to play a lot of Crusaders, and of course, the iconic Buffy the Vampire Slayer. It's a thoroughly modern female hero. She is on a mission, and basically her belief is if you are not part of the solution, then you are part of the problem, and get out of my way. Okay, so we like her. She's badass. The next kind of female heroine is the nurturer. The nurturer. That's Mary Poppins. Okay, she takes care of everyone. She's a wonderful listener. She's serene. She's capable. She's optimistic. That would be the nurturer. The next is the caregiver or the altruist. That is someone who's moved by compassion and generosity, selflessness, prone to martyrdom, and enabling behaviors. And here we definitely have, I think it's Kitty. Her name is Kitty, I think, for them, that 70 show. She definitely enables her children in a lot of different ways. The next kind of archetype is the explorer, seeker, wanderer. That a lot of times is Nicolas Cage. Okay, that would be in any of the National Treasure kinds of movies that he does. He seeks to discover the unknown, find treasure, go off on trips and journeys. He's often oppositional, which means he just doesn't, he's not going to agree with you. He believes what he believes, and he's going to have no problem disagreeing with you. But what the explorer, seeker, wanderer archetype does for readers is to help them discover their own uniqueness, their own perspective, and their own particular calling in life. We all have our own calling in life. Most of you do not know what that is at this age, and that's okay. It will take a little bit. But the explorer helps you seek out what could be your true calling in life, the thing that makes you want to get up every morning, the thing that brings you joy, purpose, and meaning, not only to your life, but to other people's lives as well. The next archetype is the outlaw or the destroyer. Now, they have repressed rage, like crazy repressed rage against society or choices that no longer serve. So it could be society, politics, stupid rules, stupid cultural expectations that no longer work. It is these things that they seek to destroy. They are ruthless, ruthless. They will do anything. If you are in their way, they are mowing you over, and they don't care who they hurt. What they actually help the reader do is, it's called weed the garden for more growth. What the destroyer archetype does for a reader, it allows a writer or producer or director to show how thinking a different way, there's a lot of times parts to their thinking that is correct. They try to handle the change in a wrong way, but there is nuggets of truth in why they are enraged. So if you tease out those nuggets of truth, it helps you kind of understand issues, complicated issues, perhaps that you didn't understand on a different level, a different viewpoint, a different perspective. The next is the ruler. That is different than any of the heroes, okay, archetypes, although a ruler can be a hero. So the ruler actually inspires readers to take responsibility for their own lives. That's really their function in a novel or movie, because what you see a ruler do, they do what they want to do. And so when we see what a person who rules their own life and that of others can do, we are supposed to feel more empowered in our own lives to do what we need to do, to, I hate to be gender specific here, but man up, so to speak. Even if you're a queen, right? Man up and do what we need to do to rule over our own lives. The next archetype is the magician. So, what the magician does is they search out the fundamental laws of science or metaphysics, and they try to understand how to transform situations, how to manipulate people, influence people, and take their visions and their dreams and turn them into a reality. That is the magician. And every single movie that has a magician, a mage, a sorcerer, any of those kind of magical kind of entities, one of the big issues is they have to overcome the temptation to use their power for evil or to use their power to manipulate. That is always their weakness. And that is one way that an author or director will show growth in a character, is to show how they overcame that power that they have over people, so that they're using either it for good or using it not to manipulate, to control their own power. The next is the sage, the sage. And so we have the Oracle from the Matrix, and then we also have Yoda, who is one of the great sages of our time. Okay? He seeks the truth, or he or she seeks the truth, and the truth will set us free. That's truth with a capital T. Also, for the sage, because they have a certain set of beliefs, a certain set of truths, because everybody's truths are different, they must overcome the temptation of dogma. Now, dogma has nothing to do with the word dog or ma. Basically, dogma means rules or principles or concepts associated with religion, politics, theology. So, the sage in any movie or book has to overcome the temptation of their own culture, religious beliefs, viewpoints. So, for example, Yoda really believes in the beginning that Luke is unable to become a full-fledged Jedi because he's too young and hasn't had enough practice, I guess. So that just actually doesn't work, because we see then that he doesn't need all that. It is somehow inside of him. So the dogma is the dogma of the Force. And he has to understand that even that itself can be overcome with the right person or the right thinking. Okay, so what the sage does is they help a reader to see the world, yourself, objectively. Objectively helps the reader to see the world and ourselves objectively. So you look at yourself. Do you know who you really are? Do you really know who you are? So it's all about personal introspection. They help open the door to your deepest, darkest desires and fears and show you the truth about yourself. The next is the Jester archetype. Yeah, that archetype enjoys life. They are prone to laziness, but they show the reader how to turn work into fun. That's pretty much what they do. How to take anything and make it more fun. The Trickster is an iconic figure. Iconic just means it's a worldwide, everybody understands what it is. Maybe you've never heard it called the Trickster figure, but there is Bart Simpson. He is the iconic Trickster figure. We have Puck in Midsummer Night's Dream, and the other depiction is Coyote. Okay, that is in Native American cultures, the coyote. It would be the spider in Jamaican cultures, I believe. So, what does the trickster figure do? The trickster figure is the one who plays tricks on us mere mortals, okay, who plays tricks on people, but essentially gives us a life lesson. The tricks provide a life lesson. So, even though they can be a little, their tricks can be nasty and negative, they always teach the person who's getting the trick played upon them a life lesson. The next iconic figure would be the lover, and this has nothing to do with like sexual love. It's more about parental, platonic, spiritual, or romantic love. And it's about love like the agape love. It's about love, loving of mankind, loving of yourself, that you treat yourself well, allowing yourself to have good things and experience good things. That is the lover. There's also some more common female archetypes. That would be the earth mother, connected to the earth. That is a very old, iconic figure from the beginning of time. They are the symbol of spiritual and emotional nourishment. They're usually wearing earth colors, and they're usually represented as full figured, which means they represent fertility. If you type in earth mother, you're going to get a bunch on Google, you're going to get a bunch of naked pictures of large women in full figured outfits, or yeah, mostly partly naked, which is why there's no picture here. The Temptress, the Temptress. Oh, we do love the Temptress. Okay, that's another archetype. She's sensuous in her beauty. She brings about the downfall of the hero. That's her job. Her job is to tempt the hero. So he has to get past that. Okay. And normally in most movies and books, he will be tempted by her throughout most of the TV show, movie, or book until the very end, when he really sees what she is and that he really has a better mission. The next is the Platonic Ideal. And the Platonic Ideal is really, we see a lot of this in Dan Brown's book. So it's, Tom Hanks, whatever, and he always has just some kind of woman he's going around and solving the puzzles or the clues with, okay? The Platonic Ideal, male or woman, is just a person, a friend, or somebody who becomes a friend, who is who helps the protagonist intellectually. It's an intellectual friendship. It's not a physical attraction, but an intellectual attraction, and so they are good friends that way. That is the Platonic Ideal. There are a lot of other kinds of archetypes. There's the evil stepmother, the drunk guy or gal, the rich or spoiled girl or guy, the hick, that's just like somebody who lives in far away and has no education and that kind of thing. The girl next door, the buffoon, the rags to riches, the bratty kid, the frumpy housewife, the party girl. And then a lot of times the archetypical would be whatever you would insert: race, age, ethnicity, religious affiliation, career, sport, hobby here. So you could do the archetypical language arts teacher, for example. And perhaps if somebody said the archetypical language arts teacher, you would see some old woman with a bun in her head and glasses on the tip of her nose. That perhaps is the vision that you would get. Or if I said the archetypical gym teacher. So we all have images in our head of what somebody may or may not look like. So a little bit about archetypes. Carl Jung, a psychoanalyst, gave the word new meaning to archetypes. He theorized that certain ideas, actions, and images arose out of early experiences of the human race, and it was passed along through our collective unconsciousness of mankind. So our collective unconscious mind. So somehow we understand archetypes in a bigger picture. We understand them as a type. Okay. He says they are present in the subconscious of every individual. Oh, that should be subconscious of mankind. These archetypes emerge in the imagery of dreams, myths, and in lots of literature, in movies, TV shows, all the time. So when somebody does a archetype that is not the norm, we like that. Sometimes we are confused by it. So once again, I'm going to give you a Lucifer example, because he is not what you would think as Lucifer or Satan. He is the opposite of what you think he might be in a lot of ways. Okay, that's why he presents an intriguing character. So some archetypes are used so frequently in literary genres that they've just become kind of conventions or tropes. So tropes just mean it's such a typical character that they really have no depth to them, an archetype will still have a lot of depth. So you can take any of those characters that we mentioned, and they will still have character growth throughout a movie, TV show, or a book or story. Whereas a trope, TROPE, will not have any character growth at all. They won't learn anything about themselves. They won't grow as people. But archetypes in any story will have some kind of growth. They will overcome something and have some kind of growth so that they experience some kind of success. Okay, that is all for archetypes today. Thank you very much for listening, and remember to stay smart.